Hello everybody, it's autumn and there are loads of fantastic new colours about, and today we're going to go out and shoot them. So come with me for a little walk in the woods and some autumn colours. Well, it's difficult to believe that not very long ago, just a few short weeks ago, about 6 or 7 weeks ago, it was 40 degrees C. It was actually over 40 degrees centigrade here in London in the UK, and that was a temperature record, and I've certainly never seen anything like it. But it's changed very, very quickly. It's quite astonishing how quickly the weather has changed, and it's now definitely got something of an autumn feel. There's a crispness in the air, there's a coldness in the air, the light looks very slightly different. The feel of the whole time and the whole atmosphere is very much autumnal, and it's incredible how quickly it's happened. I'm not too bothered about losing the heat because it was far too hot for me, but we've certainly lost that nice summer feel, and it's a little bit colder, but it doesn't matter because the autumn brings some wonderful photo opportunities that the summer just doesn't have. We've got bright sunlight today, and I'm looking for autumn colours, the kind of colours that we get in the autumn, the rich reds of berries, the golden hues of leaves, all those sort of autumny colours is what I'm looking for today. They've got a real richness about them. They're the kind of images that you don't get at any other time of year. And it's very strange because this is a time of decay, but it's also when things have a real fullness, a real sort of fecundity and abundance that you don't find at any other time. So it's quite a curious thing really that both those things could exist together. I've got with me what I think are a really nice combination for this light and the kind of colours that I'm looking for. I've got the Fujifilm X-T1 here, and mounted on it I've got the Carl Zeiss Jena Pancolar 1.8 50mm, and that's a warmish sort of lens, and I think it will be just about right for the kinds of colours that we're looking for today. It's a very sharp lens, so we'll get lots of detail out of it as well. And of course the X-T1, well, Fujifilm cameras I found personally are some of the best digital cameras for colour representation. Certainly they're ideal for capturing colours, and I've got this one set to vivid, that is the Velvia setting. Fuji call it Velvia, but you know, the manufacturers might call it vivid. It's supposed to be a recreation of the Velvia slide film. Whether it's an absolute bang on accurate representation, I don't really know, but it certainly gives beautiful, full, saturated, strong colours of the kind that I think will really work in this sort of light and for these sorts of colours. Now, it's quite interesting talking about light. We have got some very beautiful sunlight today. The day began quite grey, and I wasn't entirely sure that we were going to be able to get the kind of light that we needed, but we've been lucky, and we've all sorts of insects doing their things. We've been lucky in that the sun has appeared from behind that thick cloud of grey, so that's really nice. Now, on the subject of the light at this time of year, I think it's slightly different to light at other times of the year, and I'll explain why. The Earth has a tilt, and the seasons are caused by that tilt. It's very often thought that the seasons are caused by being nearer or further away from the sun, but that's not actually the case. The Earth, if this is the Earth, it's actually my hand, but pretend it's the Earth. The Earth has a wobble. In fact, it has several wobbles, but it has an annual wobble. And in the summer, if we're on the top here, northern hemisphere, we tilt towards the sun, and in the winter we tilt away from the sun. So that means that the light coming to here, this is not a great scientific demonstration, but the light has more atmosphere to come through. So that holds up. I think the light is a little bit redder at this time of the year, a little bit warmer, and because of that, just a little bit more magical. I think it's a more beautiful kind of light. I think it's the nicest kind of light really from any time throughout the year, except perhaps the golden hour in late summer. That's pretty nice. But autumn light, afternoon autumn light, is just stunning. There really is no light quite like it, and I think it's because of that tilt in the Earth making the light come through more of the atmosphere. There you go, that's scientific, isn't it? We don't usually get quite so scientific on xenography, but there we are. That is science, ladies and gents. Now, in the ancient times, the very, very remote ancient times before Christianity, going right back, way, way back into the Neolithic, the later part of the Neolithic certainly, and maybe even before that, noisy aeroplane, was the old religion, and it was centered around essentially the turning of the world and the passing of the year. It was considered that in spring, the Earth Mother and the Sky Father were born, had their youth, and grew to adulthood. In the summer, they would marry and come to fruition, come to later life. In the autumn, they would decline into old age, and at the end of the autumn, they would die. And through the winter, they were asleep, only to be born again in the spring, when the whole cycle started again and the whole of the world came to life. Now, that's not just an interesting old tale, it has mythical resonance. Those ancient people chose that myth for a reason. They chose it because it reflected some reality of the world that they could see. So we're in the autumn now, the time when the god and goddess grow old and eventually die. And indeed, we can see all the plants growing old. The berries are on the trees, the flowers have died. So it is a time of death. I think I might be lost. But it's also a time of great fecundity, great abundance. The harvest festival is in the autumn. The autumn is the time of the harvest, the gathering of the crops, which have all gathered to their very, very fullest. And that, of course, is sort of stored life that will sustain life over the coming darkness of the winter. I find that really interesting, and I find that to have quite a profound resonance even today. I don't know that it's got a lot to do with photography, but it's certainly a nice old story, and it kind of puts things in context. It puts the autumn in context. When I learned that myth, I understood the autumn a little bit better than I had done before. And our task as photographers is to capture it. Not necessarily what we see, but what we feel. Don't forget, that's really the important thing here. My task as a photographer is to find my way out of this flipping forest. Oh heck. Now, as for the kit that you use, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I've come out with kit that I feel comfortable using, kit that I like using, kit that I think will do this job pretty well. But, you know, I could equally well have picked up any of the cameras on my camera shelf and made them work in this scenario, out shooting the autumn colours. Your kit is really not important. Some cameras and lenses might do some jobs a little bit better. Yes, that's true, but who says it's better? Who judges? The beauty of the final image is in the eye of the beholder, and we're not beholden unto somebody to tell us whether it's aesthetic or not. We must make our own artistic judgment. Secondly, you can't, I've written this down, couldn't remember it, you can't go outside the context of your shot. Your kit defines the parameters of your work, if that makes sense. So when you're working within the world that you're working within, in the colour palette that you're using. You can't really make comparisons. Comparisons are not valid. Shoot what you have within its limits and all will be well. So who really knows anything anyway? I don't know. And even if they did, why should you listen? Think for yourself. That's the whole point of this creative malarkey. You can't do it by instructions. You can't listen to others too closely. Yeah, you can take advice, and many people have a lot of good advice to give. Hopefully, one or two of my own words might have helped a few people out. But you must think for yourself. Creativity is creativity. You have to create. And you can't create if you're referring constantly to others or constantly to an instruction manual. There has to be a time when you step out into the dark, into the unknown yourself, and just jolly well sort it out. And that's part of the creative process, and it's part of growing as an artist. So what have we learned today? I don't know. What have we done today? I don't know. It's a continuum. It's a vortex. It's a big old mishmash. Some of which is to do with equipment. Some of which is to do with techniques. Some of which is to do with look on the day. Some of which is to do with your skill and how far you've progressed as a photographer, and some of it is to do with advice, guidance, tips and stuff like that. There is no formula that I can give you. In the end, you've really just got to pick up any camera, go out and shoot, and try and catch some of these blazing, wonderful colours. So that's about it from me for now. However, I've really got to thank everybody. I've got to thank all the subscribers who've ever subscribed, because we're now, incredibly, I never thought it would happen, but we're now at 30,000 subscribers. In fact, we've gone beyond 30,000 subscribers, and that's a really wonderful thing. When I started this channel, I thought I'd be lucky to get to 5,000, and then I got to 5,000, and I thought I'd be lucky to get to 10,000, and it just kind of goes on like that. And now having got to 30,000, well, it's just astonishing. So massive thanks to everybody who's ever subscribed, who's stuck with us, or who's left us, who's left and rejoined, who's been with us since the beginning, or who's just very recently subscribed and joined this channel and its little activities. So thank you so much, everybody, for doing that, for helping to bring this channel to the point where it is now. Many thanks to you. Many thanks also to patrons without whom this channel just simply couldn't do what it does. And I really mean that. It would be very difficult for this channel to continue doing what it does without the support of those patrons. And I just massively appreciate it. So thanks everybody. Thanks everybody who's ever been a patron. Thanks everybody who's a patron now. And thanks to anybody who would like to consider becoming a patron, who might like the content on this channel and might want to join us as a patron. And if you'd like to do that, if you like the content and you'd like to join us as a patron, you can do that over at www.patreon.com/Zenography. That would be really cool. So for now, that's it from me for today, and I'll see you next time for some more Zenography. Cheerio all.